Ezekiel chapter 40. In the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that, the city was struck in the same day. Yahweh's hand was on me, and he brought me there. In the visions of Elohim brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me down on a very high mountain, whereon was as it were the frame of a city on the south. He brought me there, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate. The man said to me, Son of man, see with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart on all that I shall show you. For to the intent that I may show them to you, you are brought here. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel. Behold, a wall on the outside of the house all around, and in the man's hand a measuring reed 6 cubits long, and a cubit and a hand width each. So he measured the thickness of the building 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then came he to the gate which looks toward the east, and went up its steps, and he measured the threshold of the gate 1 reed wide, and the other threshold 1 reed wide. Every lodge was 1 reed long, and 1 reed wide, and between the lodges was 5 cubits. The threshold of the gate, by the porch of the gate toward the house, was 1 reed. He measured also the porch of the gate toward the house 1 reed. Then measured he the porch of the gate 8 cubits, and its posts 2 cubits, and the porch of the gate was toward the house. The lodges of the gate eastward were 3 on this side, and 3 on that side. They 3 were of 1 measure, and the post had 1 measure on this side and on that side. He measured the width of the opening of the gate 10 cubits, and the length of the gate 13 cubits, and a border between the lodges 1 cubit on this side, and a border 1 cubit on that side, and the lodges 6 cubits on this side, and 6 cubits on that side. He measured the gate from the roof of the one lodge to the roof of the other, a width of 25 cubits, door against door. He made also posts 60 cubits, and the court reached to the posts around the gate. From the forefront of the gate at the entrance to the forefront of the inner porch of the gate were 50 cubits. There were closed windows to the lodges, and to their posts within the gate all around, and likewise to the arches, and windows were around inward, and on each post were palm trees. Then brought he me into the outer court, and behold, there were rooms and a pavement made for the court all around. 30 rooms were on the pavement. Pavement was by the side of the gates, answerable to the length of the gates, even the lower pavement. Then he measured the width from the forefront of the lower gate to the forefront of the inner court outside, 100 cubits, both on the east and on the north. The gate of the outer court, whose prospect is toward the north, he measured its length and its width. The lodges of it were 3 on this side and 3 on that side, and its posts and its arches were after the measure of the first gate. Its length was 50 cubits, and its width 25 cubits. The windows of it and its arches and the palm trees of it were after the measure of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east. And they went up to it by 7 steps, and its arches were before them. There was a gate to the inner court facing the other gate, on the north and on the east, and he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. He led me toward the south, and behold, a gate toward the south. And he measured its posts and its arches according to these measurements. There were windows in it, and in its arches all around, like those windows. The length was 50 cubits, and the width 25 cubits. There were 7 steps to go up to it, and its arches were before them. And it had palm trees, one on this side, and another on that side, on its posts. There was a gate to the inner court toward the south, and he measured from gate to gate toward the south 100 cubits. Then he brought me to the inner court by the south gate, and he measured the south gate according to these measurements, and its lodges and its posts and its arches according to these measurements, and there were windows in it and in its arches all around. It was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. There were arches all around, 25 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The arches of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts, and the ascent to it had 8 steps. He brought me into the inner court toward the east, and he measured the gate according to these measurements, and its lodges and its posts and its arches according to these measurements. And there were windows therein, and in its arches all around. It was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. The arches of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts, on this side and on that side, and the ascent to it had 8 steps. He brought me to the north gate, and he measured it according to these measurements. Its lodges, its posts, and its arches, and there were windows therein all around. The length was 50 cubits, and the width 25 cubits. The posts of it were toward the outer court, and palm trees were on its posts, on this side and on that side, and the ascent to it had 8 steps. A room with its door was by the posts at the gates. There they washed burnt offering. In the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, on which to kill the burnt offering, the sin offering, and the trespass offering. On the one side outside, as one goes up to the entry of the gate toward the north, were 2 tables, and on the other side, which belonged to the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on that side. By the side of the gate 8 tables, whereupon they killed the sacrifices. There were 4 tables for the burnt offering of cut stone, 1 cubit and a half long, and 1 cubit and a half wide, and 1 cubit high, whereupon they laid the instruments with which they killed the burnt offering and the sacrifice. The hooks, a handwidth long, were fastened within all around, and on the tables was the meat of the offering. Outside of the inner gate were rooms for the singers in the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and the prospect was toward the south, one at the side of the east gate having the prospect toward the north. He said to me, This room whose prospect is toward the south is for the priests, the keepers of the duty of the house, and the room whose prospect is toward the north is for the priests, the keepers of the duty of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, who from among the sons of Levi come near to Yahweh to minister to him. He measured the court 100 cubits long and 100 cubits wide, square, and the altar was before the house. Then he brought me to the porch of the house, and measured each post of the porch 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on that side, and the width of the gate was 3 cubits on this side, and 3 cubits on that side. The length of the porch was 20 cubits, and the width 11 cubits, even by the steps by which they went up to it. And there were pillars by the post, one on this side, and another on that side.